Just as the body, though one, has many parts, but all its many parts form one body, so it is with Christ. For we were all baptized by one Spirit, so as to form one body, whether Jews or Gentiles, slave or free, and we were all given the one Spirit to drink. Even so, the body is not made up of one part, but of many.
Now, if the foot should say, "Because I am not a hand, I do not belong to the body," it would not for that reason stop being part of the body. And if the ear should say, "Because I am not an eye, I do not belong to the body," it would not for that reason stop being a part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, where would the sense of hearing be? If the whole body were an ear, where would the sense of smell be?
But in the fact, God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as he wanted them to be. If there were all one part, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts of the body, but only one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, "I don't need you," and the head cannot say to the foot, "I do not need you."
On the contrary, those parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable, and the parts that we think are less honorable we treat with special honor.
And the parts that are unpresidential are treated with special modesty, while our presidential parts need no special treatment.
But God has put the body together, giving greater honor to the parts that lack it, so that there should be no division in the body, but that its parts should have equal concern for each other. If one part suffers, every part suffers with it. If one part is honored, every part rejoices with it.
Good morning. My name is Grace Sissom, and I go to the Watershed School, and this is my senior sermon. For as long as I can remember, I've been a member of First Cong. I've changed a lot from my years in the toddler room to where I stand now. In reflection on all this time, all I have to say is that I could not be prouder to have such a supportive community behind me. Though it seems like a weird thing to say in front of my church's congregation, I'm not really religious, and I never really have been. There were plenty of times that I begged my parents to let me skip church. I thought that no matter what anyone said, it was a religious community and I didn't belong. The first time that I remember this thought being wildly disproven was in Quest Formation. Too scared to share what I believed, I stayed silent as my classmates read their statements of faith to the group. In fact, I didn't tell anyone any of what I believed until the day of confirmation rolled around and I didn't get confirmed. To my shock, there were no hordes of people telling me that I made the wrong decision. I was not an exception to the inclusion of all. This radical acceptance is my favorite thing about First Cong. It's contagious. Time after time, no matter how disconnected I felt from the community, all of you showed me that I was welcome. I got my first college acceptance yesterday, and I'm terrified. At the same time, my heart overflows with love for everyone here, and I can't wait to start a new chapter and to spread the unconditional love that this church has taught me. Thank you.
I'm Eveline Birth. I go to Monarch High School. I was born into a Christian family, so from the time I knew about religion, I always thought of myself as Christian. However, there have been many times in my life where I felt like I didn't believe in God. Sometimes I felt it just didn't make sense, or that there was too much scientific proof that the universe formed without any help. There have been many parts of Christianity that I never understood, like the Holy Trinity or my old church's belief in predestination. But especially during Sunday school, I learned that I don't need to have all the answers in order to have faith in God. And I appreciated the way that this church is always accepting of different beliefs, so I never felt like I was required to have certain beliefs in order to participate in the services or the youth group. Last summer, I had the opportunity to go to Puerto Rico with my youth group. During my trip to Puerto Rico, I worked on laying tiles and laying sod. It was very hot and we were often working in the full sun. After laying just a few pieces of sod, our arms would be covered in dirt and there were ants living in the sod, so we would get ant bites on our arms. The work was incredibly hard, but sometimes I wondered whether it was really worth it. Wouldn't my time have been better spent hammering nails to build walls of a house? But just like I learned to trust in my faith in God, I learned to trust that I was not just building a house, we were rebuilding a community, and hopefully someday children would be able to play outside in that yard just like before the hurricane, which wouldn't have been possible without our youth group participating in hurricane relief efforts. When I used to go to church back when I lived in Pittsburgh, I used to think that going to church was a chore. I didn't care about the sermon, and the only part of the service that I ever enjoyed was the singing. But at this church, I do see God in the services. I began to enjoy church enough that I would ask my family to let me go to all the extra services, like the Ash Wednesday service and the Epiphany service. When I lived in Pittsburgh, everyone that I knew went to church, so I took it for granted. But now that I know fewer people that go to church, I'm able to appreciate having this place to go to more because I enjoy having a place to reflect on what is really important in life, as well as having another community to be part of. When I first came to this church, I was in 3rd grade, so I've grown up in this church and learned to love it. The people in this church have become my family, and I appreciate the way that this church is so accepting and how I'm always able to have my own beliefs about God. Through the sermons and the prayers, and of course the singing, I've learned what Christianity is about, and I've learned to trust in God. And I've loved being able to believe in God because I know that I will never be alone because God will always be with me. A few months ago, I had dinner with some of the seniors in the youth group, and I realized that although I've known these people since 3rd grade, soon we will all be going our separate ways. But I'm so grateful to have had this community throughout elementary, middle, and high school, and to know that it will be here for me whenever I come back to Colorado. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Camille, and I go to Boulder High School. I remember the first time that I stood on this stage. It was December 2007. It was the Christmas pageant. I was 5 years old, and I stood right there. I think what was really big deal about that is my mom helped me make an angel costume that year, which is a big deal because my mom doesn't do arts and crafts. But here I am, 12 years later. I'm so grateful for everything this church has taught me. I think the scripture that was introduced today is saying that there's perfection in diversity, that we all make this world a better place by just being ourselves. I love this church because it allows me to be myself. There's no one way to love God, and this community acknowledges that and has always allowed me to explore my faith. Coming to youth group after a long week is an opportunity to step back and be here in the moment. I've met some of my best friends in this place and made memories that will last a lifetime. Traveling to Puerto Rico this summer was the most rewarding opportunity I could ask for. When I got to the airport that day, I was kind of nervous. I hadn't really come to youth group the past year and didn't know everyone as well as I had hoped. So I came into this trip with very few expectations. Yet everything that we accomplished was astonishing. The other day, I came across a video on Facebook from Hunger Corp. The temporary house that we begun building for Raphael in June was nearly completed, as other youth installed electrical systems and were painting the exterior. It is amazing to know that I was even part of this completed project to build Raphael a place to live in. Now, I know my faith extends beyond Sunday youth group. I see faith in the 2 service trips I've attended, in the people that we have met who have taught us so much more than we could ever do for them. I see my faith in my friends who have gotten me through every struggle I face and how close we have all become. I see my faith in my job as a ski patroller, where I've met some of the most amazing individuals who would undoubtedly put their life on the line in service to others. And I see my faith in this community sitting in front of me. As far as future plans after high school, I made the gutsy decision of applying to 9 different schools, which my sleep schedule will definitely not be thanking me for. Following my passion as a ski patroller, I hope to study medicine and would love to become an ER doc. I know this is a difficult profession, and my faith will get me through the highs and lows. And everyone who has supported me up to this point will be there for me every step of the way. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stefan Feiler. I go to Boulder High School, and I've been a part of this congregation for as long as I can remember. In fact, I was baptized here as a baby. Although I may not have been the most excited to show up to Sunday school every week or participate in the Christmas pageant every year, I'm very grateful to be a part of this church and community. While it's easy to get wrapped up in teenage drama, this church has always helped me remember what's really important. Annual service trips, local trash pickup, soup kitchen, and other service activities make me feel worth more than the grades, scores, or popularity by which every teenager seems to be judged. God has shown me that through helping and loving others, we can impact the world in a larger way than an A on a calculus test ever could, although it would be cool to get an A in calculus. Through being a part of this church from a young age, I've always felt like I'm using my opportunity-filled life for the good of others rather than myself. Through God, I gain perspective and context in which to see my place in the world and help me not take my opportunities for granted. Being a part of this church also helps me break down stereotypes about our community. To most, Boulder, Colorado is known as the fair trade, cage-free, kale kombucha tofu capital of the world. The sermons we listen to remind me that my own community isn't too busy taking hikes with their dogs or skiing in Aspen to remember what's really important in life: love. It's refreshing to hear stories of welcoming and acceptance at church rather than those of shun and rejection we often hear on TV and in the news. These services are a weekly reminder that although at times it may not seem like it, there still are places where personal connection, caring for one another, and love still live. This is truly the best possible church to be a member of, and I'm so grateful to have grown up in it.
Hi, my name is Dory Dieterding, and I go to Centaurus High School. I am a sunflower. This church, with its community of loving, caring, and kindness, are my home, the lively and deep soil in which I reside. When I was first born, I was chosen by 2 beautiful hands, so strong yet delicate, each separate hand weather-beaten and electrified from a lifetime rigorously lived. The 2 beautiful hands belonged to 2 equally beautiful women. I contemplated the hands, each inch of their skin containing thousands of stories I was beyond eager to hear. The hands brought me here and introduced me to this soil. I am forever grateful for those hands that they picked me. I am a sunflower. My life is a beautiful garden. I became myself by blooming around each and every separate one of you. I'd like to think that you each are a type of flower too. I am a sunflower. Only now am I able to finally open, bloom, and blossom my bright yellow petals for the world to see. It only takes 80 to 120 days for a sunflower to develop and consistently bloom. Because I am surrounded by the soil, I was and still am able to grow. Here in the soil, I know I am loved and appreciated and cared for. A place I can always refer to as family and home. This church/soil encouraged me to grow and celebrated any and all the paths I took. Sometimes the world would get dark and everything seemed to fade away, leaving just me alone and delicate. When I started to wobble, the soil continued to keep me safe and upright, no matter how bad the weather. This soil won't let a single seed die. How very rare it is to find some place so persistent and shatterproof. Here I am not told how to grow or how I am growing wrong. Here I am loved, and I am not told that I am disfigured. This soil will love and accept you no matter what form you take. They are here to support you and help by showing you an easy way to the sun. There are times I felt like I belonged nowhere, that my fuzzy stem was mistaken for thorns, and I was given no chance. But here I am always welcome, and so are you. Sometimes my petals may droop and fall to the ground. This garden showed me that beauty is not my sole purpose. This church and the people in it have truly influenced my life in unimaginable ways, including allowing me to grow even when I doubted I would ever bloom. It was through this church that I have learned to connect with God and therefore connect with myself. I wanted to end this by saying thank you and how grateful I am for finding my purpose while still so young.
Do a bow. Do a bow. The church is the body of Christ. And in this body, we bring our different gifts and we bring our varied ways of seeing and living and describing our faith. Seniors, for the past year, it has been incredible to get to know y'all. It was so good to get to go to Puerto Rico with all of you. And for the second service in a row, I am so incredibly proud of each one of you. First Congregational Church, thank you for raising your young people in the faith. Thank you. Thank you, seniors.